These are the Abxylute One Pro. This is a prototype, this is a retail unit. And before we go any further, if you are interested in getting a One Pro for yourself, I would strongly recommend that you watch the review I made 4 months ago. There's a lot of things that is in that video that we won't touch base. At least half of those months were spent on the prototype, and so I'll address any differences. If you have watched the review and you're looking for updated thoughts, that's the perfect video for you. Both of these units were sent by Abxylute. That has no impact on my opinions, no money changed hands, and they see the video at the same time as everybody else. Let's start with the price. Of course, when looking at the Kickstarter, that was $200 and the price is now increased. The retail unit is anywhere between $250 to $270 depending on what accessories you want to get at the same time. And let's address everything that is the same. The hardware, how it feels in my hands, the screen, the chip inside, the RAM, all that hasn't changed. We're talking about the same in terms of battery as well. And it was to be expected. The One Pro is an updated device put in the shell of the One. The display, LTPS 60 Hz, that hasn't changed. It was beautiful there, it's beautiful here. I've seen some people report that the brightness may have changed from the One. It is not the case in my experience, or maybe it's just panel lottery. The One that I don't have with me at the moment, the One Pro prototype and the One Pro retail, they all feel the same in terms of the panel look. The control, and that was one of the huge benefits with the One Pro versus the One, specifically the sticks. The sticks on the One, they're essentially like Joy-Cons and they're not really good. It is greatly improved on the One Pro. It's a very responsive stick, one that I'm super happy to play even shooters with, which is something I just could not do with the One. I'm not trying to say this is like an Xbox controller or a PS5 controller, but as far as like being able to navigate your shooters using those sticks, personally, I'm more than capable of doing it. And I talked with the Abxylute team. They tried to feed me the updated firmware to match the retail units. If I try to download it and install it, it just reverts me back to the last beta firmware. So this device is essentially going to be stuck in no man's land for forever. But one thing I noticed is different is that we have the LED light option. And I did think it looked a little weird on the updated model because of the smoky see-through shell. This feature seems gone altogether. If we look here under cloud gaming region settings, if I go with the other one, cloud gaming region settings, brightness LED is just no longer there. So is it that they removed the unit altogether? Quite frankly, I'm not too concerned with that because it does look kind of weird. Without the ability to change the brightness, it was just not a great experience for RGB with the One Pro. The One was great. You still kind of see the light through the buttons a little bit, so that was nice. And though there is a difference here when considering the UI, everything else hasn't changed. Something I feel I may have not praised enough with my initial review is the battery of the One Pro. Now, the time that it's gonna last will heavily depend on what you do with the device. That goes without saying. Just like a phone, just like a tablet, if you're gonna be playing a very demanding game ran natively, your battery is gonna drain faster. And it's not so much what I want to praise, even though the duration of the battery is good. It's how good it is in resting phase. It's much better than the One, and something I didn't realize was improved. I did talk about how it charges faster. The battery lasts long enough in my personal use case. I don't really have a battery issue. It's not a device I'm going to use every day. It's the kind of device I might use once or twice every week or 2 weeks. What I like is whenever I pick it up and I power it on, it barely lost any battery at all. So in sleep state or resting state or just completely shut off state, you have devices that will discharge. It is not the case here. That's a great benefit. In fact, I hadn't touched my prototype for, I want to say, about a month. And I powered it just for this video and I was still at 80% battery. Something I also think is nice with this one, especially on a device like this, and because streaming uses so little, you're essentially good for a couple of hours. I want to address the overarching feel of my review. Power and performance, it improved versus the One. I still feel like the jump in power was not enough. If you're gonna do a lot of emulation, you will get away with a lot more with this chip, which is nice. For me, I'm looking more at native Android titles, and that's where I think it lacks. In some scenarios, it will help streaming as well, so that's nice. You know, I'm not trying to say that the improved SoC is pointless. I feel like it's in that kind of twilight zone of, yes, it's improved, but it's not enough to push you to where I would recommend this device for native Android, at least if it's going to be the bulk of your gaming. The improvements do come in clutch in some some specific scenarios. For the most part of what this device is designed for, I don't think the benefit was as important. And what I'm trying to say here is, after 4 months of using this, I still go back to how I personally like the ergonomics, how light it is, how pleasant that it is, especially with the improved controls for playing your streaming games. But at the same time, I'm here thinking I would have much preferred a One Pro that kept the previous SoC and improved on the things that would have made the streaming experience better. And they did with the sticks. The sticks are so much better. I wish we would have had 2 extra buttons instead. I wish we would have had hair triggers instead. I feel like that would have been a better Pro than just having an improved SoC and sticks. Because that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it does charge faster, that's a benefit as well, but the 2 main features that the One Pro has over the One are really going to be the sticks and the SoC. I would have traded the SoC for hair trigger for 2 extra buttons, or maybe 4 would have been even better. Like, that would have really put this device in a category of its own. I'm not a big fan of that feature, so I don't use it a whole lot, but there's something that they touted in their original promotional material that I have not seen yet on this device, but it has been officially released not too long ago, so I would assume that's still coming at a later time. Maybe that'll be grounds for making another video, but I still have not managed to find any screen mapping software. And look, if you have it and it's there, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm just being dumb and I can't find it. As far as I'm concerned, it's not there yet. I thought maybe by using their Abxylute app, you'd be able to like have this control be perceived in the app. But if you go to Google Play and you search for ABXY game, it's not there. And I went on my browser, my computer browser, where you select the device, and it just says that it cannot be installed on this device. Again, if you know something I don't, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to be wrong on this one. There are 2 things I addressed in my original review: the audio. I'm happy to say that what they've told me was indeed the case, which is that I noticed that the One Pro had a little less quality audio versus the One. When I use the One Pro retail unit, it sounds just as good. Dare I say even slightly better. I don't know if it's placebo, but it's definitely noticeable versus the prototype that I have. This is something that they've improved. Another thing that I mentioned also in my review, the rumble. And I noticed the One Pro was a little bit behind versus the One, and also that has been improved with the retail units. I don't think I mentioned that in my original review, but another issue I had in the prototype is whenever I would use XR glasses, because the port now supports video out. That's actually another benefit I forgot to mention. That's a huge benefit actually, because I do use it a lot with XR glasses. If I jumped from the handheld mode to the tablet mode, for some reason the signal would just go bonkers. It would jitter, it would cut, it would break. It doesn't happen anymore with the retail unit. Everything works fine, so I can jump between the tablet and handheld mode just fine. Was happy to see that, because I actually use this device a lot with XR glasses. In bed, that's my most used handheld. The thing is, I am leveraging my PC a lot. Even if I have an Odin 2 Portal, even if I'll have the Sugar one that's on the way, or the Ein Thor, I love handhelds. But the reality is, if I'm really trying to game and I'm really trying to have an experience, I'm gonna lean on leveraging my PC. I'm set up in a way that I can do local streaming, and it feels just like if I had the power of a massive rig plugged into this device, and this is just being the screen. And when it comes down to that, when it comes down to cloud gaming, the thing is, this is lighter than the average. If I don't feel like using the XR glasses, the screen is big enough and the controls are good enough, and it's not heavy. It weighs nothing. Like, yes, the F1 Pro is nice, has a great OLED screen, but it's way bulkier. It's gonna have massive fan noise. It's, you know, it's not the same kind of pleasurable experience when it's not about running the power of the device, but when it's about just gaming. It is a nicer handheld than pretty much everything else I have, because of the ergonomics, which for me, I know that that's not the opinion of everybody, but for me, the ergonomics are great. The buttons feel great. The sticks now feel amazing. So with that in mind, I love it. I still stand by it. I think it is one that for people for who gaming like that makes sense, you can't really do much better. And it's not the only option you have, mind you. You could still get the original one, because it'll do streaming fine as well. You could get a G Cloud, that also is a very good device. But out of the three, the One Pro takes the lead. The G Cloud was one I recommended over the One. I would always recommend this over the G Cloud. That's kind of what it comes down to. So if we're looking at a streaming exclusive device, one that is all put together to provide you with pleasant gaming, I still think the One Pro is my #1 option, and it's what I've been using the most since I've got it. After 4 months of using it, do I recommend it? I mean, yes, but I do recommend it for the right person, and that's the thing. There are devices that you could pay to have this performance for way less in the retro handheld space. Yeah, you may not have as big a screen, you may not have as nice controls, but if that is the goal, if emulation is the goal, you're ultimately going to have what I would consider to be a better experience with those other devices. If you're after local native gaming as well, you might as well just spend a little bit more, and you're going to have something that will do vastly better at those specific use cases. I really want to urge this and really make this point across. If you are looking for something to stream, and that is the bulk of your gaming in handheld, which happens to be mine, it is the best option out there. Now, if you're telling me, well, I do want to do streaming, but I also want to do other things, then that changes the whole scope. Like, yeah, you might get something like an Odin 2 Portal instead. I fall back to streaming only. I think to me it is the best option in the market. Now, if I want the versatility route and budget is of no object, I think a Red Magic Astra, but like this is 3 times the price of this. No, at least two to 3 times the price of this. But I think the Red Magic Astra like easily wins. We're talking about something that is makeshift with a telescopic controller. That is it, guys. I said I was going to make an updated thoughts video. I wanted to put this out there. This is a device that is really designed for streaming, and with streaming in mind, it's still something I can easily recommend. These are my updated thoughts. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If there's like, if you're leaning towards this handheld, or you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. I use it so regularly. I know this thing inside and out at this point, or at least I feel like I do. So if you have questions, let me know. As always, if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the like and to subscribe to not miss any future ones. My name is Clef. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.